let me say this. We're grateful to all of the volunteers, grateful to the place that we were able to get at a moment's notice. We're delighted with Dr. Natalie Carroll Daly, who brings babies into the world, and Dr. Powell is a pediatrician. We're going to just quickly, Naka, would you just come? All he wants to do is just work, but I do want to thank him very much.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Thank you. He's just saying thank you.
No, I say thank to you.
Okay. All right. You're okay?
Wonderful.
All right.
I'm so proud to be here.
All right. All right. Thank you so very much. He did all the heavy lifting. I just wanted you to say something. You want to say anything?
Well, as National Association of Christian Churches is always ready to help people in disaster, and we are so proud to be with the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson today to assist in her wonderful job. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. We thank you for your work. Superintendent.
Sure.
Superintendent House, please.
And first of all, I want to thank Congresswoman Jackson Lee. She never ceases to amaze me and humanity, quite frankly. She called literally yesterday morning and said, I have a 18-wheeler full of a formula, and we need to get it out into the community. Can you help me? And so we did our part and made sure that Jack Yates was available. And but all the thanks goes to Congresswoman Jackson Lee and her heart towards humanity and the Houston community as a whole. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge Commissioner Rodney Ellis's office is here. They're always helping. And I want to thank you so very much for your presence here today. We are also doing testing and vaccines. So let me, first of all, ask Dr. Carroll to come forward, and then be asking some others. Dr. Carroll, anything just about babies? Or we're gonna shut it down and let them ask questions. But yeah.
Hi, I'm Dr. Natalie Carroll. I am an obstetrician gynecologist. I've been practicing in Houston for 40 years. And I am fully aware of how important it is for our babies to have formula. I am also fully aware that there's free milk for babies that lies in the breast of their mamas, and they need to take advantage of that as well. And you cannot have anything wrong with breast milk. So we need to consider that too. But for those who choose not to do that, and there are some who cannot breastfeed, we surely need to have formula as far as the babies are concerned. And this is a shocking thing to happen. I've never heard of this in my life, and I've been here a while. But anyway, we need to get formula, and we're very glad to have this particular opportunity to share formula with our community.
Thank you, dear, very much. Thank you, Dr. Carroll. Dr. Powell. Dr. Powell has just come from her office. She's a pediatrician. She's been seeing patients all morning. She may comment on mothers who are breastfeeding. I encourage that to happen, but I have to deal with the mothers who are coming under these circumstances. I can't abandon them. I can't leave them without resources. Dr. Powell?
Yes, yeah, this is very true.
Use your full name.
And yes, I'm Dr. Janice Powell.
Speak up loud. Yeah, I don't know. Check the sound. And thank you, Mr. President.
I'm Dr. Janice Powell, pediatrician. And yes, it's very crucial for our mothers who can breastfeed. This is our time. This is our time, first of all, for all our mothers who can go on and do that. But there are times, even while in the hospital and leaving the hospital, we have to use our formulas. Our formulas have been formulated for our babies, for their, not only for brain development, but also for their eye development and for just overall development, growth development, okay? And so it's very crucial that those babies that have to have the formula, it should be available. I've had mothers come to my office every day asking me, where can I find the formula? I've been online, I've checked this store, I've been to the WIC office, I don't know what to do, Dr. Powell. They're directing me to the pediatrician. And so I have a little bit of stock in my office. I give out what I can give out, but there are times when I don't have what the mother needs. So yes, I am so glad that we've gotten this opportunity to come together as a community and that we can work together and I'm so grateful that Sheila Jackson Lee have come all the way from the U.S., from our government, to come down and help us get this together here in the Houston area. And this is a crucial time. We want to move on with it, so we're going to do just that. However I can help as a pediatrician, I am. And I know also that a lot of pediatric offices do have formula in their offices. So always check with your pediatrician. Check with the pediatrician, because we do get formula as well. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Quick question for you, doctor. You know, there are some mothers who are offering their own breast milk to other mothers who are struggling. Is that okay for them to do so?
Yes. We also, you know, we have breast milk banks in the hospital where mothers who are breastfeeding can bring milk in, especially part like our babies that are premature and so forth who can't get it. Yes, you can. Okay. Now, if a mother has any type of infection, fever, anything like that going on, that will get into the breast milk. We don't want to offer something that might have some signs of infection. Okay, we have to remember that. That's very important.
That's why it's important to do the breast bank, which I believe checks the milk and also deal with your pediatrician.
Yeah,
But we're fixing and dealing with the crisis that we saw was immediate, and also the empty shelves. And some people can't access a pediatrician the next day or the next day. We wanted to make sure that we did that. Let me thank Carl Davis, who works in 3rd Ward, and thank him for being here. And let me thank Council Member Plummer's office, forgive me, and okay, yeah, a double team for Commissioner, Council Member Plummer. She's a wonderful doctor herself. She's a dentist. And the president of the University of Houston students, Mr. Martin. We're so grateful for you, and we're so grateful for Fort Bend being represented as well. Missouri County. Leadership has come all the way from there. And UMCC is doing our testing and vaccination. And then we don't want to forget that. You know that I have been a regular proponent of testing and vaccines, and I hate to make a breaking news announcement, and that is that it is on the surge. The least you can do is to get tested. And you're available to do so, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you want to say anything? No. Okay, she's good. We'll take questions now, and we'll get back to giving out. By the way, all this product is going to be given out, every drop of it, and we're going to stretch it as far as we can go, and we're going to reach out. As I said, I call the Red Cross name out because I work with them. That means I will be reaching out to them, because I know that entities that deal with disaster may have product in other locations in Texas, and they can share it around the state, and they can share it with us. I'm going to be calling out to NACA. They have other products. They just have to bring it in, and we'll see if we're needed to do this in the coming days. Particularly next week or in the coming days, I'll be going back to Washington. I'm hoping that we'll have a break in the supply chain crisis and get product moving. Thank you.
Congresswoman, you said this was an 18-wheeler full of baby formula. Let's talk about how many families is this going to help, and then was this designated to go to a natural disaster? Is that what this was?
No, this is designated to prepare for a natural disaster. So thank God we don't have any pending disaster right now. These kinds of organizations get product from around the world because there are disaster agencies, and this NACA does disaster around the world. But we hope to feed or to give about 300 families. But we're working to make sure that we get as many of these families as possible. Yeah.
How important is it to host this kind of event here, especially in the last couple of weeks where women and mothers and children haven't really felt supported from us?
That's a great question. I think I felt the burden to come so that they know that they are a high priority. I know that families are facing inflation. Again, we know that inflation has come from many different factors. But we know that a mother, a parent, has to make ends meet. And we know the least we could do is to find a way to give them formula. We're also giving them all kinds of cleanup materials and Tupperware, just to let them know from around we didn't limit from where they may drive from, to ensure that the families in this community knew that we cared about them. And if you see them coming up, they're with their little babies, but they've got other children as well. That's why I'm glad that the superintendent was able to come to ensure that his families in his school district and other school districts know that they are cared for. And I thank HISD and I thank all the other school districts that have to confront families that are in need. Thank you.
Just last question for you, Congresswoman. We've seen the struggle, we've heard the need. How impactful is it to see all these cars in line waiting for hours, waiting to get their hands on this?
It's pretty emotional. And more importantly, the mothers and the dads are the sweetest people. They extend their hand, they take what we have, and they say thank you. I spoke today at a graduation, 2 of them in fact, and I said the simple term of thank you goes a long way. I'm saying thank you to them because they are raising our todays and they're raising our tomorrows. These are infants that we want to have a good start in life. We want them to have a good future. We want them to be contributing citizens to this community. Maybe if their mother tells them, you know what, when you were a baby, the community tried to work so hard to help you. And you see a lot of HPD out here. They've been out here in the hot sun, Houston Independent School District, but HPD has just been over everywhere. And I want these parents to see that we came together as a community, from a nonprofit to public service and to law enforcement and volunteers and elected officials volunteers to be able to help us. That's what I hope the story will be. And we'll keep on trying to do that because we don't know how long we'll have to do it. I do want Chief Satterwhite to come over and say a word, and hopefully his guys and gals are getting water, because I told him that from the very beginning, and he didn't look like he was getting too much of it.
I was trying to stay out of the way there. No, hey, thanks. Well, we got the call yesterday from Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee that she wanted to reach out and bring this help to the community. Of course, we were all in. So I want to say thanks to her. She's always out here, always trying to help. The National Association of Christian Churches, Dr. Miller House, the superintendent, HISD, doctor, everybody here. HPD is going to do our part. There's a lot of doctors here. No, we're going to do our part to help out because we know the community is struggling, and that's what we do. We're all one team. So I'm going to stop there and hand this back over.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And Chief Finner is representing Houston at the Police Memorial. We were together yesterday, and so he is representing on this honorable day tomorrow when we honor the fallen in Washington, D.C. But you know what? We multitask. The chief is doing his duty, and he has great cabinet chiefs that carry on. So as I was leaving Washington, after I met with them, I said, Chief, it's going to be a hot one, a busy one tomorrow, and I'm very glad that they're here helping us. We see the cars are continuing on. We want to keep giving this product as long as we can give it and to help as many people as we can. The joy that I'm seeing in some of these families is enough for me, just to be reminded that we need to deal with people in need. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Lee, my paraphrase from my people on our screen. Yesterday, the president made a statement about giving formula to immigrants crossing the border. There's a major pushback by Governor Abbott. And I know you've been very, very active with the immigrant community crossing the border to make sure that the health care was taken care of. Can you make a statement about that, your feeling about that?
Well, first of all, our president is very compassionate. We can't make life or death choices between amongst human beings. Those people are human beings. There are laws that they have to comply with. That should be adhered to, but there's no reason to cause their babies to suffer. We're going to not let our babies suffer, and we need to be as humane as we possibly can be. That's not America. That attitude is not America. You can see by the shaking heads, it's not America. We want to, let me just say this. I've dealt with immigration for 27 years. I've been the lead person on the Immigration Subcommittee. I've written major bills that I wish the Congress had passed. But we're a nation of laws, but we're a nation of immigrants. And in that, we must show the world who we are. And I've spent time on the Ukraine border. I've spent time in the reception area of the refugees. They want to call them internally displaced persons, rushing across the border to escape the violence of Putin. And they've got children. They've got babies. There were babies who barely survived when they bombed the pregnancy hospital. We wouldn't want to separate them or not give them if they happen to show up on the border of the United States. And so let's be the kind of nation that people know that for us to be. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question for the doctor.
Yeah.
If you could just speak on the public health aspect of being able to, or of the shortage and being able to provide just a little bit of relief in that aspect.
The public health meaning that what impact it would have for them not to have formula, and the public health impact.
Okay.
You have to take the mic and come over here.
I think one of the things I've already mentioned is that with the public health, first of all, our babies will not be able to develop, will not be able to get that nutrition that they need. And it's so important that first year of life, the first 12 months is so important about how they're going to develop and do in school, later in life, and as adults, that first year. And if they're not getting the nutrition they get, or if parents who are struggling and cannot get the formula, cannot find it, they decide to mix their own concoction, they put together what they think is best, then that could be a problem with the minerals being unbalanced. The chemistry will be not right, and it can cause seizures. So while the parent is trying to do what she or he can do to take care of the child and the nutritional needs, now we have something else going on with brain development, not doing well in school, having seizures when we don't have to have that. So I would say on a national basis and globally, it's so important that we get this nutrition out.
Let me ask you a question. What disadvantage is this going to pose to those who think that lots of mothers in America don't actually breastfeed their children when they should? And they are dependent on this, and we are given some false impression in quote that these formulas can replace breast milk.
No, we want both. We want both.
I'm sorry?
We want both. We're not replacing.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, we're saying that we want both. Breast milk, breastfeeding, as well as the formula. I have noticed, I've been practicing for many years now, over 40 years. There has been a time when mothers weren't really stepping up to breastfeeding initially. I would say in the past 4 years, I've been noticing more and more mothers breastfeeding. But there comes a time when they might not be able to breastfeed, okay? If the mother is sick, if the mother has an infection, if the mother is unable because of problems with a skin infection or something like that, cannot breastfeed at the time. So we have to resort to something else, and that would be like the formula. There are many times when the father wants to help out in the situation. The father is noticing the mother's breastfeeding, say, at night or maybe in the morning, and he wants to help out when she's away, or when the mother has to be away to some other engagement. The father can help out, okay? The formula is very necessary too, along with the breastfeeding.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to end this press conference thanking Dr. Powell, Dr. Carroll, Dr. Elwin C. Lee, representing the University of Houston, President Martin of the University of Houston students, and Carl Davis, Councilmember Plummer, whose volunteers are over there. We thank her so very much. And I'm delighted to see Danielle Best here, who's going to be working to represent the area. And so thank you for her being here. And of course, UMCC, and I call him Commissioner Rodney Ellis. I want him to know that he's here. Let me, if I can, to the media, finish on this point. It is dangerous to mix your own formula. So as we're doing this, that was one of the concerns that caused me to try to move as quickly as I was. Because if mothers and families see the need, I'm sure there are recipes that someone is telling them to utilize. But babies need a certain type of formula and a certain type of, if you will, input to the formula. Please don't do that. And by giving out formula, we're not excluding breast milk, but we want to give out what is needed, and to those who need it. That is why we're here today. We'll do it until every drop goes away, and we'll look to see what we can do going forward. But I know that in Washington, we're trying to untangle the supply chain and get the product out to the stores where they belong, so that mothers and dads can get the right kind of right kind of formula, use breast milk as well, but right kind of formula for those babies. And we want to say that we have the responsibility of investing in those babies and making sure that they have the best opportunities for growth. Thank you all so very much.